You know, anytime you're involved in litigation, you keep touting your strengths and you don't tout your weaknesses. And we had a couple of weaknesses that we discovered in the last, I guess, more than a year now. So we've been trying to negotiate with the state to settle it on what we thought would be an equitable basis. One of those things is when the state bought the 200 acres. When they bought that property, we could win the lawsuit and lose the war because they would still control all the land, everything except our park, basically, that was out there. And they could develop around that park anything that they pretty well wanted to. Then the second thing is we were looking at keeping rail out of the north, and we discovered that if we got CSX to abandon the line that was running down Spruill Avenue, the first person that had an option on it was Norfolk Southern. And then after that, State Public Rail, and we would be third in that chain. So there was really, at the end of the day, no way that we could guarantee that no rail would be coming through the north end of the city off the Navy base, even though the yard might not have been in the Navy base. So we started negotiating and got them to understand that with the loss of some of the property that could be developed, we lost revenue that would help pay off the TIF, Tax Increment Financing District, that we had financed the park through, which means that they came in and then paid that park off. We also told them that we would have some lost revenue and possibilities because of them putting the rail yard there, and there we came up with the $8 million. And then we came up basically with 102 acres of land, which was the housing, and beyond that, all the property that's owned by the state north of Noisette Creek. There's one parcel that's still in there that belongs to the federal government, but we're first in line for that to come back to if they dissolve their operation out there. Well, the Spruill Avenue line from Bexley Street north will go away, which means the train that blocks Montague in the old business district will go away. Now, how many years that will take before all this comes to fruition, we really don't know. We know that the port now is planning on opening in 2019, so we would think it would be somewhere in that same timeline that all things would be completed. And we've routed the train. We had worked with CSX to route the Bexley Street line across Spruill and go down and pick up an old line that's been abandoned, but it was there. The right-of-way was still there. Goes over the wetlands and ties into Virginia Avenue. By doing what we've done, we can take both lines, the one coming off the base and the one coming down Bexley Street, and do the same thing. One of the greatest things that came out of this study was doing the surface land transportation study. And what that does, it not only looks at train routes, it looks at automobile and truck routes as well. It will help us design for the next 25 years the need for improvement to roadways, limit what areas trucks can go in, and create true truck routes, and then the state helping us to enforce those truck routes. Most people don't realize that with the post-Panamax ships coming in, the train is a welcome thing because you can do a double stack train. For every car that carries one container, you can have two containers on it, where if you take those two containers off the base by truck, that's two trucks. We don't believe that we'll see over 20% of all the cargo done by rail. So you're going to have an increase in the number of trucks on the roadway. And that needs to be looked at for the widening of I-26 from the current intersection of 526 all the way down to the Port Access Road. And then we need to look at Remount Road, and we need to look at maybe working with the Port Authority and the rail yards to determine if there are better times that they can actually bring some of this stuff in and out. Right now, all the truck traffic pretty well is in the daylight hours. If we could do some of those late at night to get some of those trucks off the road during our peak transportation times when people are going back and forth to work. And that's the type of studies that we need. And we still hold the right to the 3 overpasses if we can't come up with alternatives to those overpasses. The study is key, and we are going to help pay for the study. It's going to be jointly paid for by the state and the city, because I've always found that whoever pays for the study gets more input, and we wanted equal input to the state. We have a choice in who does the study, and then we have input to go in the study, and then we're part of the decision-making process whether we accept all aspects of the study or not. The current routing that they've got planned is not in concrete for the trains. They might could come up in the study with a better route that is less invasive on the community and serves the rail better. And that's the purpose of the study, to have professionals come in and look at it, and then we weigh in from the city's aspect of how it affects the quality of life of the people who live, work, and shop in North Charleston. Yesterday we met with the leadership of 6 neighborhoods that are mostly affected by the rail, and their attitudes were great. I had one lady, I think she was quoted in the paper this morning, said, "We've always had trains. All we ask is they keep moving." They don't stop and they don't block us, and they create those quiet zones is going to be a key component. And that means they're not blowing their horns late at night or during the daytime. And that's, let's be as least intrusive as we have to be. North Charleston's always been an industrial hub, and we have always appreciated that. But we've always been fair to the businesses and industries in our area. We want them here, but we have to work together so that we entwine. We truly believe that industrial, commercial, and residential can coexist as long as there's a mutual respect for each other.